I did it again. Of course, I did it again. I once again forgot to turn on the microphone. Because, why not? It's a tradition at this point. So, may as well roll with it. Hello, darlings. Let's try to start this again without all the flubs. Welcome to this episode of Here Comes the News. I'm your host. A lump of exhaustion made manifest. My name is Mika. I'm also tired as fuck. But you know what? We're going to power through this. Just for you guys. So, starting with our first headline. This is from unraveledpress.com. Identified the El Paso Bortac crew rampaging through the Midwest. For those of you who don't know, BORTAC stands for, I believe, Border Tactical Unit. It's basically a branch of Border Patrol that is straight up just war tactics. Like they do the things you generally do in war, except they do it here, domestically. Fun. One violent duo in particular, U.S. Border Patrol agents Michael Sveum, whose little badge number patch thing is EZ2, and Edward Vasquez, whose patch ID number is EZ17, have been frequently seen alongside former Commander-at-Large Greg Bavino, terrorizing crowds with chemical weapons in Chicago and the Twin Cities. Basically, to catch everybody up, because I know that it's hard to keep up with all of the ICE and Border Patrol actions. The first paragraph in this article does a pretty good rundown. This past fall, masked men in military gear plucked over 1,600 people from Chicago to imprison them in deadly detention centers. A U.S. Border Patrol agent shot a woman 5 times and later bragged about it. An Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer killed Silverio Villegas Gonzalez in his car after he dropped off his kids at daycare. Another unidentified agent, off duty, killed a man celebrating New Year's in Los Angeles. The feds, by the way, have continued to raid and kidnap people across Southern California, even though the news cameras don't seem to be watching there as much anymore. Hundreds of people not subject to immigration enforcement have also been arrested and criminalized. Protesters, community defense volunteers, clergy, and people who simply followed the sound of whistles piercing the air. Customs and Border Patrol agents, along with their now former campaign leader, Gregory Bavino, left Chicago in mid-November and instead decided to rampage through North Carolina and Louisiana over the holiday season. Simultaneously, there has been a flood of federal task force traffic stops in Tennessee, again, to little attention. After right-wing propagandist Nick Shirley painted a target on the Somali community via viral videos lobbing false allegations of fraud, another target emerged. This time the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. On January 6th, Trump announced 2,000 federal agents were headed to the Twin Cities. The next day, an ICE agent shot and killed 37-year-old Minneapolis mother, artist, and poet Renee Good. 17 days later, 2 CBP agents then killed 37-year-old nurse Alex Preddy, just 1.5 miles away from where Good was shot. I should pause right about here. Another article that I wasn't able to find for tonight mentioned that the 2 agents that shot Alex Preddy had been working for ICE and Border Patrol for 8 years and 9 years, respectively. They aren't new. They aren't part of the most recent wave of hires since Trump took office. In fact, they were both apparently firearms trainers. So all that training we hear about, ICE and Border Patrol just need more. Gosh, if only they had more training. They do get more training in firearms, in war maneuvers, in violence, not de-escalation. If they were given more money for training, well, that's the training they'll get. So, one group of BORTAC agents from El Paso have been recorded repeatedly attacking people with chemical weapons in both Chicago and Minneapolis. 2 have been identified. EZ2 and EZ17, the numbers on their patches. Based on analysis of publicly available CBP incident reports and over 70 hours of body cam footage released by a federal judge in November, Unraveled has identified the 2 agents along with other agents present at notable incidents. In a video published yesterday by Unicorn Riot, the pair can be seen front and center during a protest outside the Whipple Federal Building on January 15th. Unraveled has identified the agent on the left firing the launcher as Edgar E. Vasquez, 39, wearing the identification patch EZ17. On the right, blasting pepper spray is supervisory agent Michael Sveum, 41, known as EZ2. Vasquez began to draw increased public attention as images of him went viral after shooting a man in the head with a chemical munition on the day Renee Good was killed. Which, to give you an idea of what that looks like, this is the image. He is standing maybe 3 feet away and shoots someone in the face. with a tear gas launcher. At the same scene, Michael Sveum doused people with pepper spray and also deployed tear gas. This is just a snippet, a small little piece of what's going on. And it's going on literally across the country. Moving on to our next headline. After ICE released a St. Paul woman, she says that ICE agents keep returning to her home. Thi Du Vang legally came to the US 2 years ago. So when ICE showed up, she thought it was a mistake. On Monday, community members dropped off fresh food for the family. Vang, despite being in the country legally, is afraid to go outside after ICE agents detained her in Minnesota and sent her to Texas for 2 weeks. This is a tactic that ICE, Border Patrol, DHS at large use to make it A, harder to find people they've kidnapped, and B, make it harder for the people they've grabbed to get legal counsel. On the morning of January 8th, their son opened the door to their St. Paul home, but was unaware that it was ICE. According to Vang, 6 ICE agents were at her doorstep. Vang and her family fled Vietnam after spending decades persecuted for being Christian. Family members, including her brother, Hoa Chi Minh Vang, have even been imprisoned for their faith. Vang and her family experienced more hardship in Thailand as undocumented refugees for more than 7 years. In December of 2023, Vang and her family found asylum in the United States. She applied for her green card and is awaiting final approval. So when ICE agents showed up, she thought it was a mistake. Vang speaks Hmong and needed her brother to communicate with the agents. She said when her brother asked the ICE agents why she was being detained, they did not give a reason. She was detained January 8th, and by the next day she was transferred to the El Paso Service Processing Center in Texas. About a week later, January 14th, the family learned she had been transferred to the Houston Processing Center. At one point, Vang believed she was in the process of being deported back to Vietnam. While on the plane on the runway, they pulled her off the plane. I'm worried that if I'm the only one that goes, my kids will still be in this country, and if I go, how am I supposed to live? That's what I think about that, said Vang through an interpreter. Her husband, A. Pao Gyung, said through an interpreter, I just arrived to America, and I haven't broken the law at all. They arrested my wife like she's an animal. My wife did nothing wrong. This is not right. After nearly 2 weeks detained, an immigration judge ordered that she be released on bond. As her brother and husband drove to her, she spent nearly 3 hours waiting outside at night in a city she didn't know. Five days after returning, Vong was required to do a check-in with ICE, but was then free to go. She said she's required to do a check-in once per year. But since that check-in, ICE has come back to her family home 3 times, attempting to make contact. Vong lost her job because of the detainment, and she doesn't feel safe going out. She got fired because the feds kidnapped her. Moving on. DHS hunts down a 67-year-old U.S. citizen who criticized them in an email. This is from thenewrepublic.com. The Department of Homeland Security is using a little-known tool to go after its critics. The tool, the little-known legal tool, is called administrative subpoenas. The Washington Post reports a retired Philadelphia man, John, 67, found himself in the government's crosshairs after he emailed a lead prosecutor at the Department of Homeland Security, Joseph Dernbach, who was handling the deportation case of an Afghan refugee identified as H, asking him to consider that the man's life was in danger from the Taliban. Mr. Dernbach, don't play Russian roulette with H's life, John wrote from his Gmail account. Err on the side of caution. There's a reason the U.S. government, along with many other governments, don't recognize the Taliban. Apply principles of common sense and decency. Later that day, John received an email from Google notifying him that an administrative subpoena had been sent to them from the Department of Homeland Security, compelling the release of information related to your Google account, the email said. Federal agencies can't issue such subpoenas without an order from a judge or grand jury. And Google gave John, who withheld his last name to protect his family from the government, 1 week to challenge it. Hypothetically, there are laws in place to protect us from the abuse of administrative subpoenas, but Department of Homeland Security has used a tool to go after dissent for a very long time. John could not find who in the agency had issued the subpoena, let alone a record of it to show an attorney. Days later, DHS agents showed up at John's door. A naturalized U.S. citizen, originally from the UK, John was obviously worried about potential violence. The agent showed him a copy of the email and asked to see his side of the story. They didn't know about the administrative subpoena, but said they received orders to interview John by DHS headquarters in Washington. Eventually, the agents agreed John had committed no crimes. After he told them, he found Dernbach's email address through a simple Google search. John secured pro bono representation by ACLU attorneys who argue that the government is violating a statute that limits how administrative subpoenas can be used for immigration enforcement, and that the government targeted John for protected speech. Yeah, it's the opinion of this particular newsreader. Yeah, that's kind of, exactly what's going on. They're targeting dissent and free speech, hoping to create a freeze of sorts, make it where people are unwilling to dissent or say anything. You know, the kind of thing fascists do. This is from the University of Minnesota School of Public Health. There's been a new study that suggests a link between tear gas exposure and adverse reproductive health outcomes. The study, published in Frontiers in Epidemiology, adds to previous research about the short-term and long-term adverse health effects of exposure to a range of chemical agents colloquially known as tear gas. Weapons that are frequently employed by law enforcement agencies, be they federal, state, or local. Many of these chemicals have been banned in active warfare by international treaties, such as the fucking Geneva Conventions have banned them. It is a literal war crime to use them on people. Using a national survey, SPH researchers conducted a cross-sectional analysis to collect reproductive and sexual health experiences among protest attendees with uteri who were exposed to chemical weapons. The study found 83% of respondents reported at least one adverse reproductive health outcome, including uterine cramping, 69%, early menstrual bleeding, 55%, breast tenderness, 30%, and delayed menstrual bleeding, 19%. Greater exposure to chemical agents significantly increased the odds of an adverse reproductive health outcome. Those with 5 days or more of exposure experienced about 2.5 more negative reproductive outcomes. Again, this is something that law enforcement uses on citizens. It's a war crime. And they, yeah. I know that many people out there are wondering, what can I do? How can I, maybe fight back in my own way? And the Minneapolis City Council has figured out one way to do it. This is from StarTribune.com. Minneapolis Council Committee delays the liquor licenses for 2 hotels because they were hosting federal agents. This is a time-honored tactic when dealing with a hostile occupying force. You deny them food. You deny them drink. You deny them rest or respite. You make them as miserable as you can by being unfriendly. And I'm certainly not suggesting that people do this. But I am mentioning it has been done, and it is a tactic. Do with that information what you like. Moving on, this is from ibtimes.co.uk. Apparently, ICE employees have been going on Reddit to complain that they're not getting paid and they still don't have insurance despite promises. Staff claim that promised bonuses and insurance have failed to materialize, with some saying that they cannot afford medical care for sick children. Apparently, ICE officers described going a month or more without a paycheck. Which begs the question, why don't you quit? Are you in this for the love of the game? You decided to go and work for a fascist leader whose claim to fame before he came to power was not paying people what they were owed. And you are surprised? Shocked? Why do you still work there? Quit. Find another job. Unless, of course, you do this because you love the violence. Speaking of the federal government, they claim that they have identified the leader of Antifa. Folks, we actually do have a picture of him available right now. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. And is that not the face of a monster? Gosh golly gee. Doesn't he look so dangerous? Frightening? Like he could do anything. I don't know if you can tell. I am shaking with fear that even this picture may leap out at me and attack. Ooh. So, the guy whose picture I just showed you is 29-year-old Chandler Patey, who, yeah, he's been going to protests in South Portland for months. He's offered his apartment as a place for fellow protesters to use the bathroom or wash off pepper spray, according to local news. But, according to the Department of Homeland Security, he is the leader of Antifa in Portland, Oregon. That phrase appears in an internal report produced by DHS, the largest law enforcement agency in the country. As they see it, Patey, a young man accused of no crime, who, let's be real, I'm being nice, all respect to you, Mr. Chandler, sir, you look like a little bit of a goober. I'm sorry. You kind of do. You look very sweet. You look like a very nice guy. But you're really not giving domestic terrorist, which I feel is a bit of a miscalculation on the part of DHS. In Patey's apartment, Fox News hosts Laura Ingraham and Jesse Waters saw something sinister. An Antifa safe house, which is Fox News. They're there to sensationalize. They're there to give baby boomers something to do as they while away the long hours. They're there to sell adult diapers, get people to buy gold, talk about reverse mortgages and how great they are. They're definitely not there to inform the public, but unfortunately a lot of the public doesn't seem to figure that out yet. Documents that were leaked to Ken Klippenstein show Patey and countless other American protesters have been branded as domestic terrorists. As a result, their private information is now being collected and stored in a DHS intelligence system. When asked about Patey's inclusion in the system and how this squares, spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin's response was, "There is no database of domestic terrorists run by DHS." The Department of Homeland Security did not respond to requests for comment. I should mention, Ken Klippenstein includes a picture that was leaked to him that shows the screen of the DHS intelligence system. Like, you could tell that was taken by a phone aimed at a screen. So for them to say that there is no database, blah, 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 blah. First off, don't believe you, seen the picture. Second off, don't believe you. Y'all lie. Constantly. Honestly, at this point, I genuinely wonder why even bother asking them for comment? They're just gonna lie. But anyway, let's move on from there. The View, this is from thedailybeast.com, The View host unloads on white supremacist, in quotes, Elon Musk. I think we have to call a thing a thing. And when we're talking about someone like Elon Musk, Sonny Hostin said, okay, I just read the little blurb up there. Yeah, okay, that's a weird way that they worded that. You know what? I'm tired. I'm sorry. Moving on. I'm going to try to hold it together for you guys. So, the host of The View basically laid into Elon Musk because he had opinions, of course, about Christopher Nolan's casting choice for his upcoming movie, The Odyssey. So, apparently, Nolan has chosen Oscar-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o to play Helen of Troy. And, yeah, that is, no joke, a good call, casting-wise. She is gorgeous. In case you don't believe me, here's a picture of her. Amazing. But anyway, Elon Musk lost his shit in a post on X saying that the director has, quote, lost his integrity over the choice, and agreeing with a commenter who claimed Nyong'o couldn't possibly be right for the role because the character is described as fair-skinned, blonde, and the face that launched 1,000 ships because she was so beautiful that men started a war over her. Which is dumb. You can cast whoever you want to cast for movies. You can change it up. You don't have to stick to whatever canon, loose quotes, is. Because, let's face it, in most comic book movies, yeah, they don't really do that. They take a lot of liberties. In most movies, based on books, they take a lot of liberties. They change things around. This is a millennia's, thousands of years old Greek epic. You can take some liberties. It's stupid to argue. And also consider many translations of the Odyssey that the English-speaking bigots that Elon Musk was talking to are reading were translated by people in the 19th and 20th century who themselves were kind of racist. So it does kind of come through in the translation often. Anyone can portray a fictional character, Sonny Hostin said in response to Elon Musk on Tuesday. It doesn't have to be a white person that plays his part. She's right. She's right. She then tore into the tech billionaire. I think we have to call a thing when we're talking about someone like Elon Musk. We know what this is. He is a white supremacist. In my view, he is a racist. And you know what? Hats off to The View for finally catching on to what everyone else on the internet has known for over a decade at least. I'm glad that you were there to spread the news to people who aren't online as they wait in the waiting room for their dentist appointment or whatnot, and The View is on TV. But, yeah, kudos. I, for one, am thrilled you have finally caught up to us here in the year 2016. Anyway, moving on. This is from independent.co.uk. And the headline is, trans athletes may not have fitness advantage in women's sports. Landmark study finds. Findings suggests physical performance in trans women converges toward that of cis women over time. And gosh, golly gee fuck, who could have known? How could this information have been gleaned by anyone? If only there was a group of people who have firsthand experience with it and could tell you, hey, I'm a trans woman on HRT and my physical capabilities have greatly declined and are definitely more in line with cis women. Gosh, if only there was someone that the independent.co.uk could have fucking asked. I'm not going to read the rest. It's a bunch of hemming and hawing where they continue to say shit like inclusion of trans athletes in women's sports remains hotly debated, with fairness concerns raised due to biological differences. Yeah. Fairness concerns about biological differences thanks to outlets like The Independent, pushing tons of stories with lies and specious arguments about trans people. But gosh, I'm so glad they were able to find a study that says what the fuck we've been saying. Speaking of trans news, this is from assignedmedia.org. There's a Kansas bill that's being pushed. Hasn't passed yet, but if it does, it will strip driver's licenses from every single transgender resident in Kansas who changed their gender marker. The bill, HB 246, declares that all driver's licenses out of step with the state's definition of a man and woman are invalid, and instructs the director of vehicles of Kansas to identify every license issued to a trans person and send written notice that the license must be surrendered and reissued. Driving with a license that has been canceled, suspended, or revoked is a misdemeanor in Kansas. The bill institutes an extreme and novel punishment of transgender residents for continuing to live their lives as normal, and the legality of stripping people of legal ID in this way is questionable at best. However, there has been little coverage of the measure because the legislature paired it with one of the most extreme bans on trans people using public restrooms in the entire country. The bathroom ban has been covered in local news stories and by the Aaron in the Morning newsletter, which mentioned but did not focus on the driver's license changes or their potential impact on trans Kansans. It's worth mentioning that Texas is also pushing a bill. I don't remember if it has passed. It may have passed. That will basically make it where you can go be a bounty hunter and catch trans people in the restroom. And you get a reward. You get money that the trans person has to pay. So, yeah. The official stance of the Here Comes the News mini podcast: fuck you, Texas. You fucks. Moving on to our final headline. This is from people.com. Hannah Nealman's ballerina farm halts sale of raw milk due to bacteria concerns. Apparently, screenings from the summer of 2025 showed high levels of coliform, the family of bacteria that includes E. coli. In recent years, Hannah and Daniel Neeleman, they've been influencers, and they built a business around their viral content. The Ballerina Farm brand, which is named for Hannah's past pursuits as a Juilliard-trained dancer, sells meat products, pantry products, kitchenware, and more goods related to baking and cooking. The company originally sold its products exclusively online, but last year they opened up 2 brick and mortar stores. The stores are located in Utah, and a farm stand in Camas, and the flagship store in Midway. According to a report by KPCW, health inspectors found 2 violations following routine milk testing conducted in late May and early June. According to UDAF's informational page on the production of raw milk, those permitted to distribute the product are subjected to monthly testing to ensure that raw milk meets safety standards. Following their unsatisfactory results, Ballerina Farms stopped selling the raw milk, per KPCW. However, representatives for the business clarified to People that their raw milk did indeed pass the necessary tests to be sold in the state of Utah. People of Utah, if there's any of you listening, first off, hi. I'm genuinely surprised you're here. Just want to let y'all know about this and suggest maybe seeing about your food safety laws, maybe tweak them a bit, because it sounds like y'all are flying by the seat of your pants. Producing raw milk takes careful planning from a facility and infrastructure standpoint. Unfortunately, we learned this after the fact. The way our dairy was built is ideal for pasteurized dairy products. We do plan in the future to construct a second dairy made specifically for raw milk products. The state of Utah requires daily testing, and any raw milk sold from our stand passed, said Daniel. Not sure I trust that personally, but if there's one thing you can trust, it is that I found all of this information on the internet in easy to verify sources that you can check out yourself. I feel like this is just about the end of our episode. If you enjoyed listening to this episode of Here Comes the News, pop by our Patreon. You can sign up for $3 a month, where you'll get bonus content for the Gender Swap podcast. That's the podcast I do with my brother every Sunday at 4:30 here on twitch.tv. And yeah, sign up on Patreon. Check out the bonus episodes. We've got over 100. They're quite enjoyable from what I've heard. I wouldn't know. I don't listen to them. But anyway, yeah, I've run out of steam. So, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. But before I go, all the information I've given you, you can verify. And do with that information what you will. Bye.